Property taxes can be very confusing. So to shed some light on the subject, the North Dakota Policy Council presents We will break down the property tax cycle into 3 parts: assessment, budgeting, and calculation. The property tax cycle starts with assessments, determining the true and full value of your property. There are 3 approaches to assessment: the cost approach, the market value approach, and the income approach. The most common method is the market value approach. The assessor determines what the property would be worth on the market, factoring in things like location, neighboring properties, market fluctuations, and how the property is maintained or improved. The income method is the commonly used method for investment properties that produce income. This can include things like office buildings, apartment buildings, and other income-producing properties. Using the cost method, the value of the property is established by determining what it would cost to replace it on the date of the assessment. The assessment date for property is February 1st, meaning that the value placed on property is its value as of February 1st each year. All property is assessed annually. So who determines how much your property is worth? Local assessors determine a property's true and full value. Cities generally hire an assessor, and townships have an elected assessor. These assessors are supervised by the County Tax Equalization Director. The director assists local assessors in making assessments through personal consultations and training sessions. After property has been assessed, the local board, the city or township, must hear complaints by taxpayers about their assessments, and then, if necessary, adjust the assessment so all similar properties are treated equally. A city's Board of Equalization consists of members of the governing body and meets the 2nd Tuesday in April annually. The Township Board of Equalization consists of members of the Board of Supervisors of each township. The board meets on the 2nd Monday in April each year. After the township and city boards complete their review and changes, the assessments are passed on to the county commissioners, who meet in early June of each year as the County Board of Equalization. From there, the county commissioners forward their findings to the State Board of Equalization, a 5-member board which consists of the governor as chairman, the tax commissioner as secretary, as well as the commissioner of agriculture, the state treasurer, and the state auditor. The State Board meets in August each year. It is their job to ensure that assessments of similar taxable property are uniform and equal throughout the state. Several entities collect property taxes. The primary collectors include your local school district, county, city, and park board. Each year, these local entities go through a budgeting process to determine what needs funding and how much property tax revenue is needed. The fiscal year for counties, cities, and park boards is a calendar year. A school board's fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th to more closely coincide with the academic year. The budgeting process starts with a preliminary budget, which includes a detailed breakdown of the estimated revenue and expenditures for the ensuing calendar year, for the general fund, each special fund, and each debt service fund. Cities and park boards are required by state law to have the preliminary budgets completed on or before September 10th of each year. School boards and counties do not have legislated deadlines to submit their preliminary budgets. However, these governing bodies do have deadlines for their final budget. After the governing body has prepared the preliminary budget statement, the auditor sends out a public notice and places the preliminary budget on file in the auditor's office, which may be examined by any citizen upon request. The notice of the preliminary budget hearing must be published at least once, no less than 6 days prior to the hearing, and is published in the local newspaper and often on the county's website. The governing body then holds a public session at the time and place designated in the notice. It is here that taxpayers may appear and discuss with the governing body any item of the proposed expenditures or may object to any item or amount. The governing body then meets to adopt the final budget and make the annual tax levy. School boards must approve the final budget by August 15th, but can amend the tax levy and budget up until October 10th. Counties, cities, and park boards must also approve the final budget in October. Once the governing body has its budget put together, it determines the mill levy. In other words, how much money is needed to collect from taxpayers to meet the budget that has been created. And they do this by when the budgets are complete, they are sent to the county auditor, who is the individual that performs the calculations. The first step in calculating an individual tax bill is to determine the mill levy. The county auditor takes the budget and divides it by the total taxable valuations in the taxing district. This is how the mills are calculated. There are also mill levy limitations set by the North Dakota legislature, and if the mill levy is too high, the budget must be adjusted. The next step is to determine the type of property being taxed. There are 4 categories to consider: residential, agricultural, commercial, and centrally assessed. The taxable valuation of commercial, centrally assessed, and ag land is 10% of the property's assessed value. Residential property is 9% of the assessed value. The county auditor takes each property's true and full value and cuts the number in half, which is the assessed value. Then the auditor takes the assessed value and multiplies that by the taxable valuation percentage to find the property's taxable valuation. Finally, the property's taxable valuation is multiplied by the number of mills, leaving the auditor with the final tax bill for the property. This example only illustrates the county's portion of your tax bill. Your tax bill also includes a levy from your local school district and, for many, city and park district. All taxing districts use the same calculations. You've made it through Property Taxes 101. Now you know the assessment, budgeting, and calculation processes. I hope this video has helped clear up some questions you may have had about property taxes, and that it may have raised some new questions too. There is so much more to learn about property taxes. If you'd like to learn more, visit our website at www.policynd.org. For the North Dakota Policy Council, I'm Jacqueline Dotsenrod.
Let me tell you